Let's get out of this rain. LA, here we come.
If you love train travel, hit that subscribe button. We upload at least once a week, and this way you won't miss any of our content. You can also join our community on Patreon. Your support gives you access to cool features such as early video releases. And finally, follow us on our social media, Instagram and TikTok. In this series, join me, Tom, as I travel aboard Amtrak from the Midwest to the West Coast. Now, the first leg of our trip is on Pere Marquette number 371. This train is funded by the state of Michigan, and speaking of funds, as we settle into our Superliner seats, let me tell you a little bit about the tickets I got. I bought these tickets in March, and today is July 23rd. I bought these during a special flash sale to promote Amtrak's 50th anniversary. And because of that, the Southwest Chief tickets were only $50. So the Pere Marquette was $18, Southwest Chief, which I'm getting on in Chicago, was $50, and in total, I'm traveling by train from Grand Rapids to Los Angeles for $68. Now this Pere Marquette is busier than I've ever seen an Amtrak train before, which is really good. That means people are riding Amtrak. The rain was still coming down when we pulled out of Grand Rapids. Now today I was in the front car, which was really fun because this gave me a view of the back of the Charger locomotive. As you can see, the rain is coming down pretty hard on the train. But about halfway to Holland, the first stop on our trip, the rain was starting to die down. So as you can see, we're not moving. We haven't even reached Holland yet, and there's a CSX freight train in front of us with technical issues. So that's adding about 2 hours to our delay is what they're expecting. 10 minutes after I recorded that, we were moving again. If only every delay was like that. We're about to cross the bridge between St. Joseph and Benton Harbor. This is a popular spot for rail fans, and it's also a great spot if you're taking the train in the spring or the fall to see the sunrise. A few minutes after leaving St. Joseph, the door between our passenger compartment and the locomotive flew open. The conductor said that had never happened to them before, but they were quick to fix it. Meanwhile, we've arrived in Indiana. You can tell because we're running parallel to the electrified tracks of the South Shore Line. We have many videos about the South Shore Line here at Trains Are Awesome, so be sure to check those out. The closer we get to Chicago, the more and more freight and passenger rail yards there are. Here's a metro train with one of the few bicycle cars. That was a cool find.
Made it to Chicago Union Station. Made it to beautiful sunny Chicago, and only about a little over an hour late. Now I have 5 hours here in the today not so windy city. There's a couple cool train things that I want to see, and I just want to walk around and feel that big city vibe again. You'll see all of that in a different video. In this video, allow me to show you Chicago Union Station.
So there's been a Chicago Union Station at this site since 1881, but the current building dates back to 1925 and was built in the Beaux Arts style.
Now, Chicago is a real railway town. By the end of the 19th century, there were 11 different railway companies that came together here in Chicago to provide cross-continental passenger transport. Now, of course, all those companies no longer do passenger rail. It is all Amtrak now, but Chicago remains the most important hub. With the exception of one route, off the top of my mind, anybody who wants to go East Coast to West Coast has to come through Chicago. There's trains leading to New York, Washington, D.C., New Orleans, San Francisco, Seattle, and of course, Los Angeles.
Today, Union Station serves as a terminus for 6 metro lines, the Illinois and Michigan state-sponsored services, as well as the Hiawatha by Amtrak, and Amtrak long-distance trains such as the California Zephyr, Empire Builder, Lakeshore Limited, and Cardinal. Union Station also hosts the Metropolitan Lounge, which is a lounge accessible to business class passengers. My brother Pere recently upgraded to business class and made a video review about the lounge, so be sure to subscribe to Trains Are Awesome.
It doesn't look like much from the outside, but inside you have to admit this is one of the most impressive looking station buildings in the United States. Yeah, Union Station over here has it all. There is a ticket office, there's an Amtrak lounge, which I won't be able to go into with my coach ticket. That's all right, because this great hall in itself is already an amazing place to sit and very cool on a warm day like this. Boarding opens 20 minutes before departure, so that's a half hour from now. And then I'll show you how to get to the platforms. Actually, let's go look for a convenience store and maybe some bathrooms. So I got myself a soda. Yes, I might live in the Midwest, but I still say soda. From this convenience store here at the food court. Kind of expensive, but it gives me something else to drink than water. Now let's just find a bathroom, and then it'll be boarding time soon. There we go. The 250 Southwest Chief number 3 to Los Angeles. It's feeling real. It's kind of crazy. I'm at the gate. It's been a dream of mine for such a long time, and it's happening in just a couple minutes. This is it.
Yes, I didn't give you no sightseeing.
This baggage section over here isn't part of the baggage car in the back, but it's part of our Superliner car, and it's used by the Boy Scouts traveling to Raton. The way reservations on Amtrak coach work is when you board the train, you pick an empty seat, the conductors come by and then reserve that seat for you. So you have to stay in that seat the rest of the trip.
I'm on the Southwest Chief. Like, what is this? I'm so excited.
You see it here in the coaches, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty sure you can already tell this train is getting pretty full.
Well, where are we going to sit?
This is a sold-out train, ladies and gentlemen. And it will be a sold-out train for pretty much the duration of the trip.
Make friends.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, every single seat needs to be available, folks. If you do not have anyone sitting next to you, we promise you, you will eventually.
Let's evaluate our seat really quick. Of course, these are Superliners, and these haven't been refurbished yet, so they have the most comfortable seats ever. There's power sockets, there's seat recline, there's curtains for when it's nighttime, and reading lights. This is it. We're moving towards Los Angeles. I'll be getting off of this train in about 50 hours.
Please have all tickets ready at this time, ladies and gentlemen. Conductors will be making their way through. Scan everyone's tickets.
So as the Chicago skyline fades behind us, let's talk a little bit about our route today. We started in Grand Rapids, Michigan and took the Pere Marquette to Chicago. Now we're on the Southwest Chief, which crosses over Illinois, a tiny corner of Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, goes over the Raton Pass between Colorado and New Mexico, Arizona, through the Mojave Desert, and finally Los Angeles in California. The west suburbs of Chicago, particularly Naperville, are some of the richest cities in the United States. And for this segment of the track, we share the tracks with the Metro trains. After the suburbs come the rolling cornfields that the Midwest is known for. Now let's take a moment to see all the things I packed for this Amtrak journey. First of all, food. Buying food in the cafe is expensive, and also I packed enough drinks to make sure I was hydrated. Here's some miscellaneous bathroom items, including these dude showers because coach passengers don't have access to a shower, some literature, a blanket for sleeping at night, a hat for if I go out in the sun, and of course clothes, including these hamburger and fry socks. So we're 2 hours into our trip, about 5% of the 42, and so far we've just driven through endless Illinois countryside. Some people would call it boring. I would also call it boring, but in a very charming, American, cute way. And it's just reminding me how relaxing train travel actually is. I'm in a super comfy wide seat. I can get up and walk whenever I want to, meet new people, use the bathroom. I think I'm going to head over to the observation car after we stop at Galesburg, Illinois, and have dinner there. We're approaching Galesburg, Illinois, where our route splits with the California Zephyr, which goes to Emeryville, California, via Denver. Now, the Southwest Chief follows the old Santa Fe Railroad, which is now mostly owned by BNSF, and the Santa Fe used to run the Super Chief. This was actually one of the highest quality passenger trains in the United States, but from 1971, Amtrak took over the majority of U.S. passenger trains. Because Amtrak's quality back then was not as good as Santa Fe's, the Santa Fe Railroad asked that Amtrak not call their train the Super Chief anymore, and so the Southwest Chief name was invented. Now let's go check out the observation car. I later found out that you can, in fact, open the gangway doors with your feet, and that was honestly a lifesaver.
defamation that I'm required to do. So he sued me in this lawsuit too, along with the governor, several federally.
This was my very first time aboard an Amtrak observation car, and I was immediately in love. This place became my favorite spot on the train, to eat food, to look outside the window, to make conversation with different people. Honestly, cars like these is why you should consider long-distance train travel in the United States. They also have pairs of seats facing the train windows, and this is where I made a lot of conversation with other people that loved Amtrak and loved train travel.
Let's try out these seats. Oh. They're a little hard.
Both my personal coach seat back in the car and the booths at the tables were more comfortable than these window-facing seats, but that's the great thing about train travel is you can switch where you're sitting. Now, when there's no pandemic, coach passengers are allowed to order a meal in the restaurant car, but because of COVID, we weren't.
Crossing the Mississippi River in just a couple minutes.
I'm stopping here momentarily on the east side of the Mississippi River. We are on the Illinois side. The bridge is open. They're letting some maritime traffic, some barges and other watercraft through. They should close the bridge shortly. Once they do close the bridge and we get a signal, we will continue to that next station stop, Fort Madison, Iowa.
Cheyenne, Wyoming, I'm sure it was nice, right?
It's really nice. It's kind of made for you.
Oh, yeah, we got the sun over here.
Yeah, I know.
Here, come over.
Yeah, that's all right.
No.
They're famous for basically being relevant in like almost any situation you can think of.
Oh yeah.
No.
There's Fort
It looks like a
Madison.
little one. Just make sure it actually, you can put a filter on it. Oh, really? Yeah. I'll just kneel next to
Here.
my buddy here.
This one.
Is that your map?
This one?
Yeah.
No. This is the next season.
Okay. Is that a MacBook Air?
So every time I spent time in the observation car, I wouldn't bring all my stuff with me. My strategy to make sure that nothing was stolen was to return to my seat before we got to every station.
This is Fort Madison, Iowa. It's warm here. I like it. As you can see the Mississippi River from Fort Madison Station. And I think that's the barge that was holding us up. All right, let's see what the bathrooms look like on the Chief. We have 1, 2, there's another one, another one, another one. Is there anybody in this one? Oh. This is the nice one with the couch. I think there was someone in the toilet part of that. So we're gonna hope that they didn't feel uncomfortable. Paper towel, tissues, toilet paper. How much do you want to bet people throw the wrong thing in there all the time? No cups. And then, of course, they're both cold, but that's fine. Not very clean,
But also, this train gets used by 100 people over 42 hours, so I don't really blame them. Let's get out of here. Now the section in Iowa is really short, and for the last part of today, I think we're mostly crossing the state of Missouri until we reach Kansas City. The Des Moines River acts as the border between Iowa and Missouri. As you can see, I've changed into my evening attire. Here at La Plata, Missouri, I said goodbye to some of my new friends that I had made on the train. This place is relatively well known among rail fans because it has a live rail cam on the tracks. Alright, so let's try one of these. The instructions say to grab one, scrub down your face, body, pits, and dude regions. Now these things are great, especially if you're into sustainability. Instead of squeezing out toothpaste, you take one of these pods, you bite them until they crunch, and then with a wet toothbrush, it turns into a foam that you can brush your teeth with. Now, the one thing about these things is that when I'm at the airport, I always have to convince the TSA people that they are in fact toothpaste and not drugs. We're pulling into Kansas City, Missouri, which is the largest city in the state. We get here at around 10:30 at night, and so a lot of people take this train from Chicago to Kansas City. This is Kansas City Station in Missouri. Just like Michigan City is in Indiana, Kansas City is in Missouri. A lot of Boy Scouts got on here. They're all going to Raton because there's a large Boy Scout event there. It's nice to stretch my legs here in the warm summer evening air. Oh, over there is the Siemens Charger of the Missouri River Runner. Now it is 10:30 Central Time. Lights are already out in the train. They're not making any announcements anymore. I think I'm gonna stay up until the next station because that station is in Kansas and I've never been to the state of Kansas before. So first new state for me on this trip. There'll be 2 more after Kansas. As you can see, KC is nice because it has a more level step as you enter the train. So as I settle in for my first night ever aboard a train, let's talk a little bit about our Southwest Chief experience so far. Day 1 is behind us and I already love it. The train is comfortable, it's so relaxing, and even though the scenery is a little bit flat, there's a lot of cool history along the route, and there's a lot of really interesting people to meet in the observation car. Next time, we'll be waking up on the border between Kansas and Colorado. We'll have a morning to explore La Junta, Colorado. We'll cross over the Raton Pass into New Mexico, go across New Mexico, and our final stop before the evening will be Albuquerque. And what happens Albuquerque is kind of crazy. So make sure you subscribe to Trains Are Awesome and tune in next time.